Well, awesome. On that note, we'll get rolling here. So I'm going to get started. My goal last night was have this be about a 45-minute meeting. Of course, it was exactly an hour. So I would plan on our goal to wrap this up right around 7, a little before 7. Um, Obviously, the having a Zoom meeting for this type of conversation and coach meeting is not ideal. But I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your day and your evening to jump on this Zoom call. What I'm going to touch on tonight is first a little bit about the program. Where do we come from? What is really our goal with the River Falls Youth Football Program? I'm going to talk about obviously with COVID-19, what our plans are, what are some of the COVID mitigation efforts we were putting into place and executing on, and then start getting into a little bit of the field format, a little bit of the rules, and then also make sure you're aware, whether you're a head coach or assistant coach, what the not only the calendar looks like, but also what are your resources, your practice resources, playbooks, who are your resources to as far as people to reach out to. So just feel free to just kind of keep everything all of that in mind as we go through the season. So again, my name is Josh. For those who don't know me, my name is Josh Kluge. I'm president of River Falls Youth Football. I joined the board and became president, 3 years ago, I want to say now, something like that. It was right around the time that Coach Crail started at the varsity level as a head football coach, and we made that transition from tackle to flag football for all grade levels. So for those that are newer to the program, in previous years, several years back, it was tackle football for 3rd grade through 6th grade. And now we made that transition, like I said, about 3 years ago or so, where it's actually flag football for 1st through 6th grade. And so what is that part of the reason, or a big reason why we did that, was really to simplify what our goal was as far as a football program and River Falls Youth Football. So if we take a look at what we have on the screen here, really our goal is to help kids realize a passion for the game of football, enhance their knowledge, their skills for the game, and at the end of the day, just have fun playing football. And so whether kids are going to wind up playing football at the middle school level or the high school level or whatever it might be, obviously we hope that they do, but that's not the ultimate goal, is to make the perfect football player now. It's really just to start that spark in them for the game of football. So that's where we're at on that front. A little bit about me. Actually, I have 3 kids. So I have my oldest, Charlie, is going into 5th grade. And so he's going to be playing the 5th and 6th grade level. My second child, Anna, she's going into, think about this, she's going into 2nd grade. And so she's playing this year for the first time. So I'm actually going to be coaching 1st and 2nd grade. I don't know if any of you have hit this point, but I think my son and I have hit that breaking point where he needs somebody else to coach him. So he will be anyway coached by a couple other folks at 5th and 6th grade level. And then I do have a 3rd child, so I've got another daughter that's going into 4K, and she's more focused on princesses and unicorns this time and not football, but we'll see if that changes over time. So who are your resources from a people standpoint? So again, I'm kind of your if you want an easy outreach, who do you talk to with a question? Absolutely, don't ever hesitate to call or email me. Happy to help you out any way I can. But we have also set this up so that there are resources specific to your grade level that you're coaching. So very, very thankful that for the 1st and 2nd grade level, we have this year Ryan Engelbert. So those that don't know Ryan, he's the founder and owner and president of ETS Performance, where he works everything from late elementary school age kids, middle school, high school, college, and professional athletes. So Ryan does have a very strong background in college and professional football. So again, we're not trying to train future NFL athletes here. But I think there's a lot of knowledge that he'll bring, number one. But number two, the cool thing about Ryan's background is I think he fits into the culture we're looking to build as a River Falls Youth Football Board and in a program to, again, just have fun with the kids playing ball and help them, teach them along the way. So if you're a first and second grade coach, Ryan is going to be your grade director. So if you have questions, especially in the first practice or two, for the younger kids, he'll be your resource to be able to go to. Like I said, I'm actually going to be helping coach at the first and second grade level, so I'll be around those fields as well for practices and in games. For the third and fourth grade level, we've got Dan Treichel. So Dan has one son that's going into fifth grade, another son that is going into third grade. And so Dan's the grade director for third and fourth. He has also been coaching youth football for a number of years and does a really nice job. Really good guy, approachable. Again, you're coaching third and fourth, Dan is your guy. For fifth and sixth, we've got Chad Visger. So Chad is, again, been coaching a number of years with youth football. He was the grade director last year for fifth and sixth grade as well too. Again, whether you're new to the program, whether you've been with the program a number of years, he's your central point of contact to be able to go to. Again, I would say very approachable, a good guy, and wanting to do right by the kids with the program. And then we have kind of a new position this year. So we've got Jason Fredrickson, who is what we're kind of calling the director of operations. So he's helping make sure that all the coach bins, the kind of the equipment, the practice material, any COVID mitigation equipment we need, all that's taken care of. He's going to be the point on helping make sure that first practice, all of the practice fields are set up. And the same thing for the games as well too. So he's a central point of contact kind of from operationally, but also with COVID-19, we wanted to make sure we had a primary contact. So as a coach, as a parent, you have one person to go to if you have questions. He's also going to make sure that each kind of team and coach Ben has everything you need, and I'll kind of get into more of those details later as well too. And last but not least, Rissa Wojcik. Rissa has a son that's going into I think here sixth grade, and another one I believe that's going into first and second. But Rissa's director of finances. She oversees, make sure that we're staying in the black and that we still are providing good equipment and a good experience for all the kids. Now, this isn't the entire board. We have a couple other folks on the board too. One of them is of course Coach Crail. So Coach Crail is very active with the youth football program, goes to all of our meetings, and he and I are in very consistent communication to make sure we're on the same page there as well too. So, and I'll touch on some of the ways we're doing that. So, and how that's impacted the program. So real quick, if we look at what's the schedule look like? So in past years, we had practices, every kid, every team practiced 2 times a week, both Tuesdays and Thursdays. This year, we are just going to do 1 practice per week for teams. So if you are a first and second grader or coaching a first and second grade team, your practice days are always going to be Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. If you're a third and fourth grade coach, your practice days are always going to be Thursdays at 6 o'clock. Fifth and sixth grade, we actually are splitting up. So if you're a coach for fifth and sixth grade and your team 1 through team 4, you're going to be practicing on Tuesday evenings at 6 o'clock. If you're a grade 5th and 6th coach and your team 5 through 8, then you're going to be practicing on Thursday nights at 6 o'clock. Now, again, we'll touch more details about again, some of the practices we're putting into place that are different this year because of the pandemic, but this is one of the main ones. We have a significant number of kids that have come out to play football again, which is phenomenal. And so we need to, in order to spread the kids out, spread the teams out, this was the best way to be able to do that. And then as far as games, we also, this is in an effort to spread out the kids and parents and families and all of that. We have grade levels play all at the same time on Saturdays. So if you're a first and second grade coach, you'll always play on Saturday at 10 a.m. Third and fourth will always play at 11:15, and fifth and sixth is always going to play at 12:30. We're also, because we had a very condensed schedule this year. We had a very short registration window. Just to be very transparent, we're holding off as long as we could to order any of the uniforms or equipment in the event we had feedback either from the state, the county, or the school district, or the city that we wouldn't have access to the fields. Long story short, that's really condensed the season. Thankfully, we do have access to the fields, and thankfully, we are able to play football this year. But that's led to us also having, instead of 6 games, 4 games that the kids are gonna play as well too. So when we take a look at the calendar itself, I would say in all of this, just so you know, whether as a coach or as a parent, we try to put absolutely everything we possibly can on the website without making it too busy. But the schedule's on there as well too. So if you're ever trying to remember when something is, these calendars are on riverfallsfootball.com. So obviously we have the last coach meeting tonight. Tomorrow night and Thursday night are going to be the virtual parent meetings. One of the big changes, though, is we are not going to, and this decision was just very, very recently made over this past weekend. We made a decision not to have a combine night. So if you're experienced with the program, every year we've had a combine night where we've brought the kids in and had them go to 5 different stations. And basically it was kind of a good way to get a baseline assessment. It wasn't, I hate to use the word grading when you're talking about like an 8-year-old and 9-year-old kid, but it's a way to at least kind of get a feel for what kids are maybe a little bit quicker, what are kids that are just a little bit more knowledgeable or experienced or kind of confident playing football. And then from there, no exaggeration, and I know Wade's on the call here too, a lot of hours it goes into trying to take that data and make teams that are as even as we possibly can. So with that said, because we have so many kids that are coming out for football this year, and last year we had record numbers, it was in the ballpark with 265 kids. This year we'll nearly match that, not that exact number, but we're getting pretty darn close at this point. So when we started looking at the logistics of doing a combine night, we're looking at probably 15 to 20 kids in each group that's going around to each station. And in a good year, that's really tough for you coaches to be able to kind of wrangle in and not have too much brain damage in the process. So again, we looked at it would be very, very difficult to have that be a good experience and also have a combine night where we're not looking at all of everything else we're doing to mitigate COVID, and just kind of throwing to the side for the 2 different combine nights. So that's a long way of saying on Sunday, the 30th, both you coaches and parents are going to receive your team information and who's on the team. What we're going to do is the grade directors and I are going to look at the scores from last year and kind of the ratings, at least give kind of a ballpark of the kids that have been in the program. Obviously, there's kids that haven't been in the youth football program previously. So then we'll, again, just do our best to make the teams as even as possible. So this, so all of that, I also want to, I guess, be very clear that, I look at this as 2020 as a gift that we're able to see our kids play football. Obviously, for a number of weeks, a number of months, we're unsure whether or not we'd be able to allow the kids to play football, whether it made sense or not. And so, I know it's really up to you coaches to make sure that it is a good experience. And whether you're a coach or a parent, and I'm going to say this in the parent meeting as well too, I look at, there's 2 key words that I sum up 2020 in especially this football season, and that's patience and grace. So, let's have patience with each other, assume positive intent, patience with the kids that really maybe haven't been able to get out of the house as much as they had in the past, in grace. So if the teams aren't exactly perfect the way that you see it, we're trying. So, let's just do our best to make it, again, a good experience. And then we're looking at you as coaches, whether you're an assistant coach or head coach or who cares what the title is. is to be a positive leader, for the kids, not only your team, but the other teams if you're playing in a game and the families around you. So the same goes for if you're playing in a game and let's say you're up, it's in the second half, you're up by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Okay, I'm not saying you can't tell your kids to quit, but I'm also saying, maybe put somebody else at quarterback that hadn't played there before, or start running the ball a little bit more, or just again, let's show a little bit of tact too on that side of it. So again, the schedule is going to go through September and October. The last game weekend is going to be October 10th. We are penciling in a coach appreciation event after it's all done. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that as well too. Any questions before I get into more specifically some of the COVID mitigation plans we have? All right. Well, I'll jump into the COVID aspect of this. So, really what we're looking at, there's going to be a focus on maximizing space, minimizing physical contact, and making sure that we have a sanitary environment as we possibly can, considering, it's kids and we're outside in the grass and the dirt and everything else. So as far as maximizing space, that is one of the reasons why, like I said before, we only have 1 practice per week in order to be able to spread out the teams. And I'll kind of share what the map will look like for that. Again, in order to minimize exposure between different parties. That's why we have the game scheduling the way we have it. We have set it up, and why we have 4 versus 6 games. So as far as minimizing physical contact, we are going to request the teams not line up to handshake after the game. With that said, I still think they should line up and say good game. And that, knowing especially the younger kids, they're sucking on their fingers or their gloves. And anyway, that's nasty anyway. I've always thought when they're giving each other high fives. So I would still highly suggest that, yes, let's still do a good game lines, but maybe it's just saying good game or maybe giving each other an elbow as you go by, as long as you're not, jacking another kid. And then we're, really requesting teams not to break down in a tight huddle on the sidelines. It will probably happen just kind of organically, but do your best to obviously try to spread out the kids as much as possible. Huddles on the field, let's space it out as much as we can. And many of you know, it's hard enough to, get a play called in the offensive huddle. When the kids are, all tightened in together, let alone if they're out looser. But again, just looking to have a focus on during space them out as much as possible. And then on the sidelines, thankfully, and I thank you coaches, we are going to have enough coaches where there's going to be 2, if not 3 coaches for every single team, I'm so thankful for that. So again, thank you. And so I'm looking at, if you're looking at spacing out the kids in the sidelines, great job for, one of the coaches to kind of be on top of that, or obviously one of the parents as well too, to make sure that they're not on top of each other when they're not playing. And then, what we're going to communicate as well is we urge parents and families not to attend the practices. Totally get it, especially the younger kids, especially the first couple of weeks, if they're, dropping them off at the practice field area where their team practices. But I'm going to ask them then to go back to their car, go back home for 45 minutes and come back. And again, trying to minimize the number of people that are really kind of in attendance there. And then when it comes to the game itself, we're also going to urge families to limit the attendance to just immediate family members. So the hygienic focus, your bins, your coach bins that you receive are going to be have a number of things in it to help with COVID-19 mitigation. So one of the things is we're going to give you basically cleaner, sanitizer, to sanitize the balls, flags, and cones that are in your bin. And we're asking you to do that before and after every practice, and you should say before and after every game as well too. So that will be in the bin. Every bin will have a hand sanitizer, for each team. We also will ask you to take attendance. So this is a request from the school district of River Falls. And so we will have a list of attendance sheets, and absolutely every single practice, every single game, one of the coaches should be taking attendance, noting, who's there in attendance. And then at the end of practice and at the end of games, we're gonna have a attendance bin that's basically set up outside the football shed, and just need you to drop that in there, and then we'll kind of take it from there. Very similar to really anything now. We're asking players, families, coaches, refs, obviously check any signs for illness before you come into practice and games. And so we'll have, when we communicate to parents, we'll be more specific. What does that mean? But you know, some of the basics are loss of smell, loss of taste, sore throat, fever, of course. You know, those types of things, and making sure that everyone's being smart. And this year, every player is going to have the same flag football belt for both practices and games. So in past years, we had practice belts and game belts. So in the bin, when you show up for the first practice, you're actually going to have a bin that's going to have flags for every one of your kids. And that's going to be their flag belt to use for both practice and games. This year, based on feedback and personal experience for us board members, we got definitely higher end flag belts that should be a lot easier for the kids to clip on and off. They're heavier duty. Anyway, so they should be handled just fine for both practices and games. And so what we're going to ask for you coaches in your bins, we're also going to include scissors and tape. So when the kids get their belts fitted that very first practice, you're going to need to cut off any extra belt that's hanging out, and then kind of tape up, again, any kind of that extra belt piece that might be hanging out. And you also will have a permanent marker in there. So absolutely need to have the kid's name on there, so they're using their same game belt every practice, every game. And the belts should stay in the bin and should be, again, sanitized before and after practices and before and after games. So again, that's that piece of it. I'll send a reminder out, but a suggestion that was actually made last night that I think will work out well is we're gonna, that very first practice, so either September 1st or September 3rd, we're gonna ask parents to show up at 5:45. So obviously we're gonna ask you coaches to show up at 5:45 instead of 6 o'clock. And the whole thought is, it really in reality takes 10-15 minutes, you know, kind of get the team together for the first time, introduce yourselves, kind of set the ground rules for the season for your team. And then of course takes a good chunk of time to get the belts fitted and the kids rolling. And then by the time 6 o'clock rolls around, you actually have a full hour to practice with the kids that very first practice night. So again, 5:45, make sure that you are there. And then concessions will not be provided for obvious reasons. And then masks. So we'll have 20 disposable masks. They're going to be in a plastic baggie in every one of the bins too. So the school district is not saying that we have to, that the kids nor the coaches need to wear masks. This time there's no masks there's a demand that we have to use them. But we are including masks in the event you as coaches feel more comfortable with it, or one of the parents feel comfortable that their kids have a mask. I just want to make sure it is available for them if they don't have it. Again, everything is fluid with when it's related to a pandemic. So let's, you know, that could change. I hope it doesn't, but that could change down in the future of the season as well too. Last but not least, Jason Frederickson is our COVID-19 lead from the youth football board. I'd mentioned that before, but again, he is your central point of contact. I am going to follow up with all of you with his contact information as well too. So you have that in case there are any questions or anything that comes up from families and your teams. So this is kind of the depressing slide, to be honest. So what are the other things that we've done to minimize COVID exposure? We're not going to have a youth football camp. We didn't have a youth football camp. Like I said, we're not going to have a combine night. We are not going to do a team picture day. We're not going to have the halftime scrimmage at the varsity game like we normally do. And it's a real bummer, but we're not going to practice with Coach Walker's UWRF Falcons. And that's usually a highlight for a lot of the kids. So we're not going to be able to do that. Last year we did a punt, pass, and kick contest in the end of the year, and I thought the kids had a blast with that. But we are not going to do that this year. Last year we also did Thursday night under the lights, where some of the older kids, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, got to play at the new high school field turf underneath the bright lights. And again, the field's too small to be able to do that, so we're not going to be able to do it. And we're also going to really minimize what we do for the year-end celebration. So again, anybody asks you, what are we doing? There's quite a few actions we're taking. So field map. This again, like I said, this is on the website. So feel free to download. I have it on the website as a JPEG. Feel free to just download it to your phone if you want to. But this lets you know. So if you're a Team 1, if you're grade 5th and 6th Team 1 coach, on Tuesday night, Tuesday, September 1st, you're going to show up. If you're leaving the football shed, you're going to show up at that far right-hand football field at Meyer Middle School. If you're a first grade, second grade Team 1 coach, you're going to head to that far left-hand football field, and that's where your team is going to practice. So this is, again, we're not going to have the combine night, so the very first practice, this is the practice field location you will go to. Jason, myself, and the grade directors are going to set up your bins out in your practice field area. So there's no need to come to the football shed to get any equipment unless you have a question or need something, but we'll have both the field team signs and the bins waiting for you on the field there. So you'll be able to have that. And my other request is, in past years, people have brought the team signs back to the field shed and dropped them off there, or even kind of left their team bins in the football shed. My ask is, one of the 2 or 3 coaches in your team, please take that home with you, and don't keep it in the shed. Again, we're trying to keep everybody as spread out as possible. Now for Thursday nights, we have again 5th and 6th. So if you're a Team 5 coach, you're going to play Thursday nights or practice Thursday nights. And so again, you go to that far right-hand field if you're leaving the football shed. If you're a 3rd and 4th grade football coach, in your Team 1, again, you're in that far left-hand quadrant. So exact same thing. The bins will be waiting for you. We'll have the team signs staked in the ground. And our request too is to make sure to please keep those signs in the ground every time you have a practice. So every Tuesday or every Thursday you have a practice, put that in the ground. It really just helps families, kids remember where they have to go to. Because even if we're splitting up kids here, it still ends up being a little bit overwhelming trying to figure out where to go. And then the game map. So we'll share once we have the teams set up, we'll share what the game schedule looks like, and on the game schedule it'll say which game field you're playing on that Saturday. But just so everybody is aware, so if you're a 5th and 6th grade coach, you're going to always play in field 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you're a 1st and 2nd grade coach or a 3rd and 4th grade coach, your games will always be at 5, 6, 7, or 8. So that's the way we're going to set up the fields. In reality, it's kind of the most efficient way for the board, us and the board, grade directors, to be able to set up the fields before all the games start on a Saturday morning. Any questions about any of that before I touch on some of the resources you guys have at your fingertips?